Okay, I want to thank you all for making it to another meeting of the Santa Barbara Real Estate Investor Association. We are here at the Marriott in Goleta, California, and looks like it's a little bit on the small side as far as people, but hopefully they will show up, and the good part is it's going up on YouTube, so everything that we cover will be there someplace. So if you missed it, you didn't make it, you still have a chance to see this. Thank you very much for showing up. Short version, long version, we are here at the Marriott. Great little place to be. And everything, as I mentioned, goes up on YouTube. So we've got years worth of meetings and people that have been here discussing how to do this investing. And I've gone back many times and looked at this stuff and went, oh, what did they say? I gotta watch this thing 3 or 4 times before I really get it. So it actually is very helpful to be able to have those resources, and especially for the people who can't make it to the meetings, it's all right there. Meetup. Now, I want to thank you all. What we're doing here is we're starting to kind of shift what we've done in the past as far as how you register and how you get in here. And you notice that trip factor. You notice that required to attend is going through Meetup now. And the reason for that is a couple things. One, if we have very few people showing up at the meetings, nobody wants to come to something that doesn't have very many people. And the speakers will look at this and go, oh, I see on your Meetup here the average amount of people that show up are like 5, and I just can't come to a meeting with 5 people. I'm sorry. Typically, we've had about 25 people show up. Half of those would show up through Meetup, half of them would pay to get in at the door, so it never really showed up on Meetup. So what I'm doing now is going, okay, how do we get the actual numbers to show up here? And I've actually went back to Meetup tech support and said, hey, you know what? You guys only give one option. It's either they get in free or they pay. So how are the people who are attending able to pick and choose whether they want to get in free or pay? They can't. That's a problem. So, and I'm sure that Meetup knows about it, but they probably don't want it to be complicated. So I said, you know what? It doesn't have to be complicated because that can be one of the choices. Keep it just like it is, or let people pick and choose. So we're going to see what happens. The main thing is that we want to try to direct people back toward Meetup as a main source of registering, because it also, once you're used to going there, you don't spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? Even if you had to pay, we had that option at Meetup, which we have had in the past. You could do it all in one place. So thank you very much, because I think just about everybody here signed up through Meetup. This meeting is free. You know, it takes a while for people to kind of get used to a new change, so I just said, okay, everybody that comes here, they get in free. This time around, as long as they register it through Meetup. In the future, if they don't and they come to the door at the last minute, they're still going to end up paying $20 to get in. So we will do our best to try to help guide you back toward Meetup and figure out how to get you in here for free. And, you know, if you bring a guest, you never have to pay, so that's another way of getting in here free. You just bring a guest. It's very easy. Okay? We have gone through this kind of registration process already from 1 to 1:30. So you've got a chance to kind of check in, meet some people, do a little bit of networking, and get your bearings straight. We do have internet access. There's a password back there in that corner, so in case you want to, you know, get your cell phone or your laptop into something, you can do that. There's a little bit of food back there, coffee and water. Okay, this is pretty impressive, huh? Look at that. Wow. I saw that and I went, okay, that looks good. We are going to go through the agenda here. We're going to do a little contest for guests and see if anybody brought any guests. Linda Pliagas, I don't think is going to be here because I don't see her. She had planned on it, but you know, things happen. Then I will go through and talk about some wholesaling, lease to own, training. You've got these cards on your desk there for REI Pro. We'll talk about that a little bit. Free training. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about REITs I don't have a whole lot of education or information on REITs, but I'm starting to dig into it, and there's some good reasons why, so we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we will have Randy, who is here. We've already set his stuff up and got him going, so he will be back in the room by 2 o'clock, and we will listen to all the good information he has on how to protect these investments that you've got and help you from somehow not getting sued or whatever. We all need help there. That's all part of the business. But he'll be here to do that. And these are the different things that he's going to be covering. So it'd be great to have him in for that help. And there is a free table out there outside. We always bring a lot of older real estate stuff that we've accumulated that we're not really using. And so, you know, what's old for us might be new for somebody else. So, you know, if you want to leave your watch or your cell phone out there and give away a gift for free, you leave it on the table and someone just might take it, okay? That's what Michael said. Don't leave your cell phone on the table, right? Mm-hmm. We've got my son Michael Ringwald here. He's doing the video. Yay, Michael. And he's been here for quite a while doing these things with us. He's got his Michael B. LLC and a couple properties in there. So, you know, he does tech stuff. He'll help you with some websites. Just talk with him and see what kind of support you might be able to get from Michael, and you'll be surprised what he can do to help you out. So thank you, Michael, for doing what you do.
Thank you.
And there is a restaurant over here. I don't know if they're open. They might be later on. There's restrooms in that direction. When you're through, if you want to hang out in the lobby here, meet some people, and kind of go over some other things, we might stay a little bit later for some of that, in case you're interested. So let's do this. Let's start off with contest for guests. This was the person who won last meeting. Okay, we actually had a fun time because there was a couple people with some guests. Did anybody bring a guest? Are you going to make me go home with this? Yeah. This is a Google Mini. Nice. Okay. Did anybody bring anybody?
No problem.
If they come in half an hour, does that count?
If they come in half an hour, does it count? It might count. So let's get back on that one and see, because if you bring in a guest, see that was the thing about we talked a little bit about Meetup and trying to get people in here easier through Meetup. And basically, if you bring a guest, just a friend, and they're a first time, you know, they've never been here before, then you can get in free anytime you come here. So every time you come, just bring a guest, somebody who's never been here before, and you get in free. This particular meeting, we let everybody in free just to try to start getting them used to using Meetup as a way to register to get in here. So that worked out. That's going to work out better in the future as we, you know, kind of iron out all the little issues about doing that, make it easy for you. Very interesting. And it also gives you kind of a little bit of an experience and a feeling of, well, what does it take to motivate people, you know? You have a friend and you say, hey, Joel, I'm going to go to this investment thing. You know, it might be a chance for you to be able to take a look at your finances, see what's going on. You're actually getting a feel for what it's like to be able to do what you have to offer, which is education on finance and real estate. Who knows, maybe you go get a degree in it. I don't know. But you will have to talk to people, and you will have to motivate people to do any of this stuff, because it's not a solo game. You've got partners you want to build up, people you want to contact. So this is just a little part of that. You know, by bringing somebody in here, you can kind of get that experience of what that's like. And then we pull you up here, and we video you and kind of go through some stuff and, you know, promote what services you might have to offer. Okay? So we're not going to do that this time around because we don't really have anybody with a guest in here. But we do have, if you had one or two guests, it's a Google Meet. If you have 3 or more guests, we're going to give you a home, a Google Nest home, which is pretty cool. And like I've said before, if you spend more time talking to it than you do your wife, she's probably going to throw it away. So, you know, you got to be careful what you're doing with it. And Linda, you did make it in here. Linda Piagas is here. Yay! You want to come up and talk a little bit? Because we're going to have Linda, who does what I'm doing right now on a huge scale in places like LA, San Francisco, East Coast. And, you know, when you're in a place where there's 300 people, there's always a much better opportunity to network and meet people than there is in something as small as this. Linda, thank you so much. It's wonderful
Nice to see you.
So why don't you give us a little rundown of what you do?
Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Linda Pliagas and I own a couple of publications, Realty 411 and REI Wealth. You can find them online at realty411.com. And we also host events around the country. We just returned from Sacramento, had an event there, and we're actually going to have a large event in Los Angeles on September the 28th. It's complimentary. We have Randy Hughes speaking again, so if you want to bring, you know, your friends to see him, because he's got some great information, so I'm sure you're going to want to recommend him and so many other speakers. We have Leonard Rosen, who also hosts the Pitbull Conference. He's a private money expert. Hector Padilla, who has spoken at some of our events before here in Santa Barbara. He's closed $90 million worth of real estate transactions in Los Angeles, right here in California. And he's only 42 years old. So he really is an amazing person. And Brad Sumrock is joining us from Texas. He does multifamily syndications all over the country. So we have an incredible bunch of people who are joining us, and I encourage you to learn more at realty411.com.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate it. Linda is the person who actually inspired me to kind of up my game and get out of the pizza parlor and, you know, hey Bob, your pizza's ready, that kind of stuff that's going on constantly. And to do it in places like Fest Parker and here at the Marriott. So I went to one of her meetings and met a investor, a private lender, and got a $100,000 loan to pay down about $100,000 worth of credit card debt. Can you imagine that? $100,000 worth of credit card debt. And what that did, and there was a reason for doing all that, was to get my credit score from 612 to 800 in 90 days. Bam, just by paying that down. And of course the credit card companies have no clue where the money came from. It just looks like you got rid of some debt because it was a private loan that wasn't reported to credit agencies. So then I was able to qualify for refinancing my house, a rental property in town, did all that kind of stuff, took the money out, paid back the private lender, and everybody was happy. So, you know, the kind of things that you can get by meeting people like that when you go to Linda's events. I really appreciate what you've helped me do, Linda.
Thank
So
you.
thank you. Okay. You know, I know you guys are probably thinking, well, why are we doing this? I've had people come to me and say, Dan, I'm not doing real estate anymore. I'm doing beauty cream, facial beauty cream, and this is a guy, not a girl. And I don't know if you really want me to come and talk about it. I said, are you kidding me? Do you realize how good people have to look today in front of YouTube? Get in here now, you know. So we really try to support everybody that comes through here with whatever service they have to offer. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go on. You've got not a whole lot of time for me to talk, so I'm going to kind of zoom through some of my businesses that I do really quickly so I can get to kind of the REIT stuff that I want to talk about. Because we're coming up on 2 o'clock here really quick, and I want to get Randy in here. If you do want to speak later than 2 o'clock, Randy, and people are here, that's not going to be a problem. Okay. So NHBig is a wholesaling business that I run. Doesn't take any money. We work with any of you through training to help you find properties and, you know, investors and whatnot. NHB LLC is a longer-term investment property company that I have for buying rental properties and holding on to them. We've kind of shifted to lease to own because the tenants are much better to work with, and the possibility of selling the property yourself to a lease to own buyer is much better than an investor, because an investor is going to beat you up over price, right? They want a deal. So this is really a good business to be doing. And that's the website for NHBig. This is the training. You've got some training material there on your desk, which is REI Pro. You really don't even need me if you got the REI Pro, because it's got everything you need to be able to learn how to do this business, okay? Although you'll pay twice as much to go to them directly, unless, if you went to them directly instead of working with me, basically you're not paying for the program. You're working with me and you have access to the program anytime you need it, and we work together. So either way is fine with me, whatever you want to do. Get back to me with any questions on that. This is the program. You'll be able to go take a look at the demo online. National Home Buyers, that's the website for doing the rental properties. Why lease to own is so important. A lot of people think if they've been renting and they're kind of younger, why do the property managers treat me like crap? Guess what? They want turnover. They want to get in there and repair. They want to fix that property up. They can only make money. The 10% or 8% property managers make is not enough to keep them in business. They have to turn properties over. They have to fix them up. And they have to treat people like crap just so they can get them out of there, turn it over, and move on. So if you're wondering, don't take it personally. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the property. That's how they make their money. So, lease to own, do you really need to have property managers with lease to own? Not really. You could do 10, you could do 3 or 4 or 5 if you had a full-time job. If you're getting up to 10, it's more difficult. If you get to 20, it's enough to keep. We've had 20. We're starting to sell some of these off. A full-time job for buying and selling, and then it's another full-time job for accounting. Maria, my wife back there, said, yeah, I'd like to retire as a nurse and help out in business and do the accounting. And I went, you're going to hate me if you do this. It's not an easy job. And she's like, oh, God. You know. But in any case, so that's kind of what happens on the rental side. If you really want to get a lot of properties, you're probably not going to be able to have a full-time job. This will be your full-time job. Okay? Oops. So, that's the business website that we use to rent out the properties, and no matter where you rent properties out, you better do your screening because it's all in the screening. Whether you get good people or not, that's where it happens. And we've got a couple minutes to talk about REITs. Why is this important to me? Well, you notice up here it says SB for Santa Barbara. In my opinion, doing REITs is kind of like what they say about Santa Barbara. It's the home of the newlywed and the nearly dead. Okay? Why is that? Because Santa Barbara is so expensive, it's very difficult to have kids in Santa Barbara and pay all the bills. So, you know, you come in as a newlywed, you have kids and go, oh, it's so expensive, let's move out of Santa Barbara someplace else, and then they come back to retire when they're nearly dead. Okay? Investing, in my opinion, I've been doing it for 40 years, is kind of like the home of the newlywed and the nearly dead. When you first start off, you've got a full-time job, and how do you do investing and a full-time job? It's not easy. And a lot of people go, well, I don't have $25,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 to invest in a rental property. How do we do that? If you start someplace, any place, and you can just take $1,000 and invest it and let that start building up, a REIT might be the place to do it, because you're basically investing in real estate, but you're doing it really through the stock market. It's basically a stock option, okay? And you could get in for as little as $1,000, but, and I'm not a guru on this, so, you know, all I can say is I'm starting to investigate this because I see over a 40-year period the difficulty of investing and the path that we all tried to take. And the first part is, well, where do you start? How do you start? What do you do? Okay? I've started researching and looking at these different articles, and I got an article here recently where this particular article, if you were to grab that web link there, and you'll see it on the video, you can get back to it, you can take your camera, take a picture, whatever. He said, you know, I'm doing REITs, and it takes me about 5 to 10 hours a day to study different REITs, and about $20,000 in different types of programs to analyze them so that I don't get the wrong thing and end up losing money, because you can lose money on the stock market or the REIT market just as easy, you know. And he said, and that's really, you're competing with somebody like me that does all that hard work. And I'm thinking, geez, nobody's got time to do that. But then he goes on to mention that there are what he calls passive index funds and ETFs that you don't have to spend all that time. You might only get 5%, but hey, is 5% a lot better than what the banks are giving you for your savings? Is it a place to put some money? Could you start building that up and maybe after about 5 years or 10 years have enough money to go out and get 2 or 3 rental properties? You don't want to have a whole bunch while you're trying to do a full-time job. It's very difficult, but you can eventually work your way into full-time real estate investor if you want to. It's a battle. You know, when I first started off, I thought, I don't want to have to, I would hate to have to sue people or be sued, And that's what I got property managers for. And then finally I realized property managers are horrible. If anybody ought to be sued, it ought to be them, And then I realized if you're not willing to do the battle, suing should be like brushing your teeth, You have to get to the point where you go, it's part of the job. I'm not going to court. I'm paying somebody, an attorney, to go to court for me. If I have to go to court on something, I do, okay? And I'm at the point now where I go, God, I love attorneys. I'm not too happy with property managers. It's just part of the business. But that is the battle when you go do it full time. When you want to exit that and you're going into true retirement, I'm not talking 65 because retirement could be 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever. True retirement, 80, 90, you're not thinking so clear when you get toward the very end of what you're doing. So that might be a good time as you're moving closer to that to start selling off these rental properties you have and go back into index funds or ETFs as we will learn more about somehow. I'm going to try and bring some speakers in here to deal with this because, my dad is 95, going to be 96 here pretty soon, and I just helped him sell one of his rental properties at 93 or 4, and you can just see as people move on, this is not something they should be doing at the very end of their life. They need something very easy, just like when they first started off, okay? So we need something very easy to start off, and then we need to choose, are we going to go do this battle? And I'm telling you, the big shield and a sword, because to make 90 million or whatever your friend down in LA did, I guarantee you, that is not easy.
No.
That is battle. And it's okay, I don't want to be Warren Buffett. I don't need to have billions of dollars. We all just need to have what we want, what satisfies our needs. Everybody's different. Whatever makes you happy, that's what you need to go for. That's why we'll be spending some more time on this and trying to bring in some speakers to talk